I see a lot of people online complaining about, oh, I went to this business place and they asked to take a copy of I use my card and they asked to take a copy of my ID. And they're upset and they don't, and they think it's against the law or whatever. I don't know what the laws are, but how can business owners, because that's what we used to do. We used to sell a lot of big ticket items, electronics. There were instances where that saved us when someone did a charge back on the purchase. We were able to provide this photo ID, this photo of the person who made the transaction. So, how can business owners protect themselves? And do you know, are business owners able to ask for a copy of the ID in the case of a big purchase with a credit card?
So, Sheandra, what you're saying is quite what is needed is necessary. So, firstly, business owners can protect themselves by having surveillance.
That's true.
You want to have surveillance cameras at the least in the areas of your cash and credit card transaction areas. So if you have your surveillance cameras in place, at a minimum in those areas where you transact cash and credit cards, you also want to have, if you have the capacity to, be able to have visuals of the entrance, exit areas, parking lot areas, right? So that's going to help you in IDing the physical person that comes into the store. Once the person now makes the transaction, depending on your financial institution, it varies what are the requirements. Some banks will tell you for this credit card purchase, you don't need an ID. Or for amounts less than $50, for example, you don't need an ID. You could just tap it. No need to have an ID present. But particularly with big ticket items, I personally would want to see an ID and not just see it. I want to record that ID, like you mentioned earlier. So, depending on there's no set parameter as to what is required for customers because it varies from financial institution to financial institution. But I would encourage business owners to record, not just request the government issued IDs, not any ID, a government issued ID, and you can record that driver's license or passport or NIB card number, and you put that on the receipt or you hold it somewhere in the event of some kind of discrepancy. You're able to say on such and such a date, this person came in here presenting this ID. I saw the name, it matched the face in front of me, and here is the ID number that can be traced. And if you come to financial crime with that kind of information, you will be much better off in terms of having your crime solved rather
And
than someone
speak
that didn't take an ID.
and speak to the consumers, because again, like I said, I see a lot of people complaining, oh, why are they taking my driver's license number or driver's license information? That's also protecting them, right? Because if someone comes with their card, speak to that a little bit.
Yes, you're right. If someone comes in with their card and they can't produce an ID or the merchant doesn't request an ID, they could be defrauded thousands of dollars or however much on their account. So that's also in their best interest that they produce that ID to match the card, the face and the name on the card will match because, like you said earlier, they can also be defrauded by someone stealing their credit card information or credit card itself, the physical card. They're also for merchants in terms of being protected in this particular shopping season. There's also fraud protection software that we use that you can purchase. It helps to detect whether or not a card is being reported stolen or whether something is odd with this purchase or with this card, and it will alert you as a business owner to cause you to shut down that sale.
And that works locally, like it identifies cards that have been reported stolen locally, that those types of software.
Yes, because they speak to Visa and MasterCard.
Mm.
Once you have that kind of software that can read that information, it will give you indication as a store owner to say, hey, be careful of this particular sale.